Any final comments on OpenAI? Are they here 10 years from now?
No, but I don't think any other company is here 10 years from now. I think,
Oh my God, such an
I think,
optimist.
well, in a good way, in a good way. I think we will reach some kind of general super intelligence and that's the only thing we need. We need nothing else. I think it'll be the United Nations or something.
Hey everyone, this is Heine Sakaraisen here, and welcome to Founders Weekly, where we tell stories we can learn from. Today, we're trying something different again. Gotta see what works the best here. We are telling the story of one great startup. It may well be the most successful startup in the past 10 years, maybe even a generation. And that startup is OpenAI. But how did it all come about? From founding to funding to some of the revolutionary products, and we even have a lot of drama. This is not going to be a boring story. My co-host today is Hassan. He is a founder, a developer, and a friend. Welcome, Hassan.
Thank you, Heine. Let's do it.
Where are you today?
I'm actually in New York City right now.
Oh, New York City, the Big Apple.
The Big Apple, the Big Apple. Yeah, yeah.
So what's happening in New York?
I mean, I'm on the founder train again. I'm starting a new company. It's going to be an AI, actually.
Surprise.
A whole lot of, yeah, I know. We're in it again, right? The fun the fun of founding a company. But yeah, it's going to be exciting. I'm trying to build the.
Will you tell us more about it at some point?
At some point. I'll just tease that it's going to be the biggest university on the planet. Let's just say that.
Oh, again, being very modest here, so I do look forward to that.
Very.
Cool. Let's get to the big story.
Let's do it.
OpenAI was founded in 2015. The founders were Elon Musk, Sam Altman, Greg Brockman, Ilya Sutskever, Wojciech Zaremba, and Jon Schulman. Back then, some of them were famous. Now they're almost all celebrities. So let's start there, Hassan. What do you think about this very, very unique group of people?
I mean, it's pretty intense, right? You have the perfect group kind of thing, and all of them they have their strengths, right? Sam is this like super founder. He has this like YC, background. Elon, we don't even need to talk about Elon, right? Pretty obvious. And then you have Greg. Greg is super interesting because he like pretty much took Stripe from 4 people to like 250. He was their first CTO. But the real like magic nugget that we're gonna get to also later is Ilya, right? And what's interesting about Ilya is he came from Google Brain, and originally from there he came from University of Toronto, where he was working with Geoffrey Hinton. Geoffrey Hinton is what people call like the godfather of AI, right? I think he was like 68 or 69 or something when he was helping Ilya and Alex, I think Krestovy or something like that, and they built AlexNet. And AlexNet was the first true, like, pretty much like modern day transformer kind of thing. So it was just like a college thing, yeah.
So like these are the revolutionaries, the first movers in AI total, and then it's the best of the best, right? I mean, founders are not always sort of super team players, and we're going to talk about that later. But is it a problem having this many talent and this many, I guess, egos in the same founding team?
I think it's one thing to note. I mean, if we look back, this was 2015. Almost everyone was in their late 20s, early 30s on the team. Obviously except Elon. So I feel like at that age, people have kind of started to get past the whole like I'm the king of the world kind of thing. So that's a good thing. But the most important thing is that they're very complementary. I think that's one thing that OpenAI had that a lot of companies don't have, right? Like Greg, sure, CTO, smart guy technologically, but he wasn't there for the tech. He was there because he can build a team really well. He built one of the best teams and scale it all. Yeah.
Incredible team here from day one. And the goal was to develop AGI that benefits humanity with a commitment to open research. And this is very unique, right? So they want to do something good, and it's about open research. So why was this so important? What were they concerned about at the time?
I mean, pretty much the apocalypse, right? Like we've been watching the Terminator and stuff forever. This AI that's going to be super smart and they're going to kill us all. And they realized all the way back from AlexNet, this could be very, very, very powerful, right? So you needed something that a company that's not only going to build AI, but it's going to build it with safety in mind. And more importantly, they're going to build it in an open way so that everyone has access to it. And this was the big thing, like making it open source. And obviously, the drama's coming.
We'll see how that goes.
We'll see how that goes.
But this is key. It's called OpenAI. I think one of the concerns was that Google, Meta, Microsoft, whoever was just going to sit on this and nobody else would get access to it. And who knows what their evil minds would do. I mean, what's the thinking, right? So the key was open so that everyone had access to this. And that's very unique. And also, this is a non-profit company.
Exactly.
Again, it's a startup. That's rare.
Well, the idea is profit or chasing money is going to make you do anything to get it, right? Even if it's an evil thing. That's like at the core concept. But to give it a little realistic twist, there was ego involved here. There was, there's a famous interview, I think, where Elon Musk says that, he was sitting with Larry Page and Larry Page told him that he's going to build the AI god. Then this was before OpenAI. And obviously Elon's like, you're not going to do it. I'm going to do it. I bet.
Yeah. There's a story about that. It may or may not be true, right?
True. This was according to Elon Musk.
Yeah. Okay, so within the first couple of years, OpenAI gets significant funding, no less than $1 billion in investment from founders and supporters. And I mean, as an early stage startup, which this literally is, this is 2015, 2016, they just started. This is unheard of. And this was also different in many ways. Let's start with that, because it wasn't really an investment, right?
It was donations. Yeah. How about $1 billion donation in your startup, Heini?
I would take it. But if well, it depends on what you commit to, right? But yes, that's wild. So they really meant this, right? Because it wasn't a venture fund that said, "Hey, we need a return. You have this many years to actually build something," and so on and so forth, right?
Exactly. And also, the other companies in the space, pretty much Google at the time, we're spending lots of money on AI as well. So the idea was to kind of, again, stay head to head with them.
Yeah. To match them. Otherwise, I mean, they knew already. They're based in Bay Area. They're based in San Francisco. They know if they're going to attract a real team here, they're going to need money, real money. Nonprofit or not nonprofit, doesn't matter. We're going to need a real team here.
Oh yeah. It's team, but it's also compute, right? And one thing back to AlexNet. AlexNet was developed on 2 GPUs. And they were 2 very simple GPUs. And actually, that was the big thing about it, is that before that, neural nets were being developed on CPUs, and they did it on GPUs. That's why Ilya was very well known in the research world. But that's what Ilya was used to. A couple of GPUs, not building these giant farms of GPUs that are going to go out there and then build these crazy neural nets.
But did they prove something at AlexNet already that was like a predecessor to all of this?
Yeah. That basically, if you run these neural nets on a graphic processing unit, not a CPU, then you're going to get way more performance, and you're going to be they were able to, for example, if I'm going to generate a text like these ChatGPTs do, etc., it will take me sometimes weeks to be able to generate a letter, whereas a GPU can do it in a few seconds, right? So it's just a completely different architecture kind of thing, and that was the big breakthrough. And
then they kept building on that, but also scaled it in CPUs, right? Okay, so at this point, we're starting to get some of the drama. There are rumors now that there are discussions and disagreements about the project's ambitious scope as well as the ethical considerations. So we will have a lot more about that in a second. But the first thing that really happens is that Elon Musk leaves the OpenAI board, and that's in 2018. So we're 3 years in. Elon says, "Hey, I'm going to leave the OpenAI board." Officially, he leaves to avoid potential conflicts of interest with Tesla's AI developments.
I mean,
so was that really it?
Okay, so there's a blog post that was posted a year ago or something by the OpenAI team, and it's titled like Elon and OpenAI or something like this, right? And sure, like yeah, Elon said, oh, the potential conflicts, yada yada, but then they leaked the emails, and the emails were pretty harsh. Elon saying things essentially he thought, I mean, if we take it in the best possible way, he thought that correctly so, that OpenAI needs so much money, a lot more money than they need now. They were already running out of money, actually, at that point.
So they raised $1 billion.
And
they're still
he's like,
running out of money quickly.
oh yeah, they're running out of money. They're going to need billions and billions and billions. And his idea was, hey, let's strap OpenAI to Tesla, because Tesla is a cash cow, and you can have as much as you want, but I'm going to be CEO, right? And this was, again, this is all documented kind of thing. And then when they said no, he was pretty harsh. He said, your chances of success are not 1%, they're 0. And this is in an email that you can read. And then he said, humanity's future is in the hands of Redacted. And Redacted, as you know, is Larry Page, the CEO of Google. So that's it. There was some ego there. And he was just upset that OpenAI is not just going to merge into Tesla.
Okay, so we have Elon leaving. He's talking about, hey, potential conflict. But was that a real thing? And I mean, my impression of Elon is that either he runs the show or he's not part of it, right? He isn't really a team player when it comes to this. And that's what these emails show too, right?
Exactly. He really wanted to run the whole thing. But again, I mean, he really thought they needed so much more money. So
yeah.
It could be that that's the truth, but just the harshness of those emails makes it seem otherwise. Like they look like someone whose ego got hit a little bit.
Yeah. But this is what he did with Tesla too, right? Meaning the founders were there, and then he slowly took over, and then at some point, look, I'm the boss, I run everything, right? And with a founding team like this, yeah, not as easy sort of to push over, right?
Exactly. Especially because like at that point they knew they were building some awesome shit, you know. So,
yeah. But he was right about the money, and we're going to talk more about that. But he was really right about the money. But was he really being transparent about the openness, saying, "Hey, I need it open," and so on? Because in a second we'll talk about how they solved the money problem, right? That was by doing something fundamental. Did he really want that? He just probably wanted him to pour in a lot of the money, and then he could control it, right?
I think he was doing the good old lowball someone like we know a certain mutual friend that's really good at acquiring business through this tactic, right? You kind of give them something and then you just wait a year and they come back begging for it. I think that's what he was like going for here.
Yeah, totally. He wanted to take over. I think that's the impression. Yeah. Okay, when we come back, we'll talk about a big shift at OpenAI. Okay, we are back, and now we're in 2019, and a big shift is coming for OpenAI. In 2019, they create an OpenAI LP, a limited partnership with a capped profit. So, profit, but capped. In simple terms, what was before a non-profit can now create a limited amount of capped profits. And the claim is that it's done to attract more investment and reach their goals. I think that makes sense, right? So you can motivate people and say, hey, you can, even if you're very rich and know a lot of rich friends, you can raise $1 billion. When it comes to raising multi-billion dollars for this, I guess charity only goes this far, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, at the same time, so this is limited profit. In terms of investment, I mean, is this really an investment? I don't know.
The first thing, the first $1 billion, or what do you mean?
No. Yeah, the later billions. Like now that they're a limited partnership or whatever with limited cap profits, right?
If it's not, what is it then? It depends on who the investor is, and we'll get to that, right? But at the time, you did not see it as investments.
Nope.
Okay. More like owning the company, owning technology, controlling it.
Yeah. And something affecting the future decision making on who you get to take money from.
Yeah. Okay. So I think this is an interesting shift also for like startups in general. Hey, you can raise money as a nonprofit and charity and so on, but it really has its limitations. These guys are moving into a battlefield where it's a lot about money. It's about talent and power, meaning CPU and all that. And that's hard to do if you're competing with Google and somebody else, right?
Absolutely. One thing that's eerily similar here is government funding, government grants.
Yeah.
Like this happens in the US a lot. I think it's a form of corruption where essentially like the government gives you money, they give you this grant, right? But you're only allowed to spend it in like one place. And
Yeah.
it's always, like, oh, yeah, we're going to give you this money, but spend it with this specific defense contractor or whatever, right? A lot of stuff like this when someone like actually I think we should get to who gave them money next.
Yes, that's good. Yes, exactly. Okay, I will also say there's a big debate at this point. Is it still open? And if investors come in, we can't just share everything. How we're going to make money? So next that happens is really important for this. And it's only 4 months later, July of 2019, OpenAI announces a big partnership with Microsoft, which includes a $1 billion investment. Microsoft has seen the potential of OpenAI and goes all in. So let's dig in here. So they come up with $1 billion, and did they influence the decision that was made 4 months before?
Heini, you're the best person I know at raising money. You think you could raise $1 billion in 4 months?
For this maybe, right, but not for a nonprofit.
Right. So so they definitely had this
I think they
getting cooked, right? So
yeah. They said, hey, if we're going to make this really big, we have to turn it into some kind of profit. And then they found this weird compromise with capped profit when we reach our goals. I mean, yeah, I don't know. That sounds really weird all around, right?
it's a hack. But you know what? It is what it is. I think what's again, yes, the whole profit non-profit thing we can argue about forever. The real issue here, and the reason it was non-profit, is safety. And we're going to get to safety. We're going to talk about this a lot. But again, a lot of these things just really like whether they're, it's okay to make money or not, whether that's going to make you evil or not, whether it's going to keep it open or not. You can still make money and have things open. In fact, like Facebook's entire AI is completely open source, everything about it, but they make a lot of money out of it. So,
well, so there's one thing there. It's that with Facebook, it's, shall we say, a side project, right? So Facebook has built multiple technologies now, including like React, and made it totally open. They said, hey, we need this technology. Let's build it open. And then we use it like everybody else. And they have the same philosophy with AI, right?
I mean, I love their commitment to open source. I don't like a lot of things Meta does, but this whole idea is pretty, it's like a win-win kind of thing. And Zuckerberg talked about it before. He said, why would we not open source this? Because now we're open sourcing the biggest model. And if someone wants to fix something from somewhere from Guatemala, please come help us. That's the beauty of the open source community, right? Like, come help us, come do it. And he said that, sure, they're going to invest $1 billion for free, let's say, right, to push something. But just the R&D they're going to get from the open source folks is worth tens of billions of dollars.
Yeah.
And that's a very healthy way of looking at development in general.
I mean, this was profit motivated for Meta, right? What is the least expensive way to develop this so we can use it? And they concluded, yeah, open source.
Exactly. And they've seen it be successful, like you said, with React and other things. So I think it's a brilliant move. And I actually think OpenAI could have done something very, very similar. So
I'm going to challenge that a little bit, right? Because the problem is, it's like, let's say you were building something very similar to React, and the only thing was that, then you might be in trouble. And the same thing with AI. If the only thing you're building is AI, and now you keep competing against somebody where it's a side project that they use, that could be problematic, right? They have to make the money somewhere. I know you can add things on I believe in that too, but if you're building a really, really big business, that might be hard, right?
Again, my argument here is not that you shouldn't raise money as OpenAI. You absolutely should. Facebook just has the $1 billion, right? So they don't care. My thing is, why not open source it? Mm-hmm. And again, it's a separate. That's what I'm saying. It's a separate discussion. Like the whole open sourcing and the safety stuff somehow gets tied to the money, and of course it's tied in one way. But in the end, they needed a bunch of money and they took it. And I honestly, I don't really care if OpenAI is for profit or not. I think personally, I'm a huge fan of building a very healthy business, right?
Yeah.
And that's how you build
It's the best
something
way to
that people
survive.
want, and that's good, right? So I don't
Yeah.
mind. Like I didn't like the whole nonprofit thing from the start, to be honest, right?
No,
So
no. Yeah, I think that was weird too. And I mean, the best way to get prosperity on any level is profit motivated. It works really well. I mean, it just does.
yeah.
Okay, so that shift happened. They have a profit model now, and Microsoft is a huge investor. And then the big earthquake comes along. They release in November 2022. They release ChatGPT. It's a web-based chat client, making it easy for the general public to interact with the model. Within weeks, ChatGPT was a household name globally. It basically lets everyone in the world interact with AI for the first time. And honestly, I mean, the world is blown away, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, this was I remember this day even so fresh now. It's
Where
because
were
here's the
you?
thing.
No, I'm joking. Yeah,
No, it's really, but it is a seismic shift. Like you say
yeah,
earthquake, because it is seismic. This
yeah.
is, as big, if not bigger, than the creation of the internet itself. Especially because like one thing I remember is, oh, there's a computer and you can talk to it and it responds like a human. And this was
Yeah.
conversations I was having, with my parents and my grandparents. So this wasn't some like, oh, cool new technology for the kids.
Oh,
This was something that everyone understood. Like, oh, there's AI now.
yeah.
So pretty
No, I
massive.
think it was wild. And within 2 months, they had reached 100 million users, one of the fastest growing products ever built. Products like Instagram, TikTok took much longer to reach 100 million.
I mean, everyone wanted to play with a new toy, right?
Yeah, totally, totally. So we could talk about ChatGPT for a long time, but it really is a breakthrough for AI. And since then, they've built a lot of things on top of that, and we'll talk about those things in a second. But first, let's get some drama.
Oh yes.
So suddenly and out of nowhere, November 17th, 2023, the word comes out that the board of OpenAI has fired CEO and co-founder Sam Altman. OpenAI, at the time, probably the most successful startup in the world, and then decide to fire the CEO and co-founder. What the heck is going on? I mean, when I read this, I was in total disbelief. OpenAI was what it was, and then Sam Altman was OpenAI, and then this board that I never heard about is now firing him. What was your thinking back then?
I was extremely concerned. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people saw the drama and were like this. I mean, I also saw the drama and thought it was really spicy and fun. I'm not gonna lie. But I was very concerned. Like
Yeah.
this seemed like this whole time, even now, I'm still waiting for a time. Like I really think there will be a day when we hit AGI and it's just gonna happen in 2 seconds, and we're just
Explain what AGI is, just so people understand.
artificial general intelligence, where it's just like so smart. It's way smarter than a human, and it's gonna figure out like all our problems in a second. It's gonna have a mind of its own. It's gonna be conscious in a way, right?
Yeah.
So when that happens, we don't really know what that means. We don't really know what it's going to do to our world, right? And again, like going back to the godfather of AI, he's terrified of this to the point where he quit Google. I think like last year, saying like, nope, there's not. So even he's quitting Google out of safety issues. So when this happened, my first thought was, oh shit, they got to the AGI thing, and Sam was like, this is amazing. We can rule the world. And then Ilya said, oh no, look, he wants to not use it. Like he doesn't want to think about safety, and they fired him. So for me, it was, shit's about to go down.
Yeah. So your conclusion was they're very, very far, and Sam is less concerned about safety. So let's throw him out and build something safer before we release it.
Right. And I think I was half right. Fortunately,
I think so.
I
Yeah.
wasn't right about
AGI.
AGI, so they weren't that far. But they were building, like Sam is a YC guy, move fast, break
Go,
things,
go, go,
release
go.
things,
Yeah.
go 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 go. So of course he's gonna have that ideology. I mean, so
Yeah.
that was it. Whereas they wanted to go slower.
Yeah, the board cited lack of consistent candor in Altman's communication with them as the primary reason for this dismissal. Following his firing, CTO Mira Murati was appointed as interim CEO. I will say we can talk about the sort of the mindset, the safety, all those things, which I do think played a role. But it did look that he was not super honest with the board on what else he was doing, meaning he had what investments he had and what didn't have. So there was some things that looked like there was some dishonesty there, right?
Yeah. I mean, this is I think what he was doing is just playing all sides. He goes to the safety team, promises that it was in OpenAI internally, the currency of communication is compute. We have all these giant who's going to get them? And he would go to the safety team and say like, oh yeah, we're totally going to do like all this like safety stuff, blah blah blah. But then he would go to the product team like, yo, when can we release GPT-4?
Go.
Let's do this. Who cares about the safety folks? Don't worry about them, I'll talk to them. So he's playing a lot of sides. One big aspect is I think it was leaked that Ilya in the all hands, right, when they fired on Friday, when they fired Sam, said that this was a great thing for OpenAI, and said that the future of AI safety is in a much better place now. So
wow, we have more on Ilya in a second, so that's interesting. Yeah. So obviously this move caused significant internal turmoil and led to backlash from OpenAI employees as well as industry figures. Like everyone was talking about that. But the culmination was that he was reinstated as CEO just a few days later, November 22nd of 2023. So like it took a week and then he was back in again. And so many things happened there. But what were the key things that happened to get him back in again?
I mean, so first of all, if you're this kind of CEO that's really good at talking to your employees love you. Yeah. So there was that heart thing, something like that on Twitter, where like they were all putting hearts and support of.
Exactly.
So okay. and already a bunch of researchers quit immediately, like the moment this happened.
So you're losing the team.
You're losing the team. What's OpenAI without a team? It's nothing. And on top of that, Satya, Microsoft CEO, immediately announced that, I just hired Sam and Greg to head Google's new AI team or whatever. So this was the end of OpenAI. And so it's either
he hired to do Microsoft's AI,
yeah to hire. Oh, did I say? Oh, sorry, not Google. Yeah, definitely not.
Definitely not Google. Yeah,
definitely not Google. Yeah, Microsoft's AI. So this was either we lose everything or we bring this guy back and try to figure it out. And they chose the latter.
Yeah. So they did, and he's back as CEO. And I guess, I mean, Microsoft had significant leverage at this point, right? So they could be waiving money, they could be waiving all kinds of stuff if they didn't do as told. I mean, some people felt it was just a donation. It was just a colony. Yeah, it was just a donation. Yeah. Donation of goodwill. Deductible donation. But so they really, I think they used muscle in their own way to make this happen, right?
I mean, it really felt like Satya was the CEO in those few days, right?
Yeah.
So
he's the real chairman of the board and Sam is the CEO, right?
Correct.
Yeah. We are back, and now we're going to talk about the future of OpenAI. First, let's dig into something that a lot of people are concerned about, and that's safety. About a month ago, one of the co-founders of OpenAI, Ilya Sutskever, left OpenAI and has since founded a company called Safe Superintelligence. And there is, as far as I can tell, not a lot of information out there. There's like a statement out there. When I look at it, though, it does look like somehow like the original OpenAI. Create AGI, but in a safe way. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, what's the name of the company again?
Yeah, exactly. Safe Superintelligence. I mean, could we be more literal here? But then again, OpenAI's name was OpenAI, and they're closed.
Correct. But that's hilarious. Yeah. Like it's almost a meme. He called the company.
You don't have to say anything. We know what this is.
I mean, that is. I think that's so funny. That's such a statement. It's like I have so much issue with OpenAI ignoring safety. I'm gonna create a new company and I'm gonna call it Safe Superintelligence.
Yeah, Doesn't get more clear than that. You're true.
You know what's interesting is that they have this mission statement, right? And it
Yeah.
says that they will work on nothing else except building a safe artificial general intelligence. On nothing else. And again, so many messaging here. So much. It's saying that I don't want this whole ChatGPT and all the other products that I think we're going to talk about soon.
Yeah.
I don't want all this stuff. I just want to work
Just the
on one
core.
thing. I just
Yeah.
want to work on this AGI model, nothing else. And he mentioned like, hey, if you want to join us, know that this is the only thing you'll work on, and you will not be distracted by anything else, and you're going to make sure
By
you
releasing
work on this.
products.
Exactly. There's no releasing products. This is the only product, and we will never in the future have any other product. It's a commitment from day one. That's a statement.
Let's also establish who Ilya is, right? He is the brain, the visionary behind OpenAI, right?
Totally. Yeah. He made it happen. If there's no Ilya, there's no OpenAI.
And they lost him, and now he's running this company. I could be a little bit concerned, though, that he hits the same wall as before. I need all this money. I need all these people, and I'm not going to do that without releasing some products, right? How is he going to fund this?
Well, his co-founders are like super rich and very influential, and that helps a lot. And I think there are still a bunch of people in Silicon Valley that do want to achieve this safe, AGI. So I think it's just going to be about having these people around. The other issue, I mean, there's still, I think they are going to run into the money issue, right?
Yeah.
How they solve it is going to be interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Do we know that this is going to be open to? I mean, being safe and AGI doesn't mean it has to be open, but have they claimed that this is going to be open to, or said that it's going to be open source or something?
It's not going to be open source.
Oh, it's not going to be open source.
Okay. I think the open source thing, back then was Elon's idea, and like, so here's the thing. And at Tesla, one thing that's pretty cool actually about Tesla is that, and SpaceX, is that they do everything in open, and that they have no patents. They open source all their patents, everything, like anyone can use it, yada yada yada. And if you take it in the best way, Elon wants to save the world. If you take it in the worst way, it's like he wants to be seen as the all holy messiah that like all he wants. It's like with SpaceX, like all I want is to make humanity multiplanetary, because if we don't do that, we're gonna lose, yada yada. So, and then he does some things and you question that.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
So to me, the whole open source at the beginning of OpenAI was honestly a media play. That's it. Yeah. I'm still the messiah you always thought I was, even with AI.
Yeah. That's like saving the world on all levels, and even the worlds of the world. Yeah. So I want to last thing on this this safe AGI here. Well, how, again, we don't know this, but let's speculate a little bit. Is this going to be some kind of commercial product that people buy? So the best AGI in the world, and then people using as the API. We don't know anything how that's going to work.
So I think if they get there, maybe. But one aspect actually that I think I missed with this whole safety and open source thing specifically, one fear was actually safety when it comes to open source, is that if we build something amazing, can a harmful actor take what we've built, run it on their own, and do something really terrible with it? So we're going to hide it.
That could be why they're not doing it.
Yeah, but it's also like, who are you? Like, why are you in a much better moral position than someone else? That's right? Or a government or whatever it is. So will they make it commercial? I mean, again, me personally, I think they have to, but they have to figure out like what are the safe and moral ways to use it. What are the initial ways to use artificial general intelligence? Like maybe creating better food, or new medicine, or whatever it is. Things that we can all agree are good, not like having a chatbot that tells us cool things and builds marketing plans. So
we have to have a nuanced look at safety, right? Because you can also build a car that is just safety, right? But it doesn't really get you from A to B. It's too slow. It's everything, right? So you can't only build safety. You have to build, no matter what you do, no matter what you call your company, it's a balance. You have to do both. No car is only safe. I mean, the Volvo is supposed to be the safest car. It still gets you from A to B in a really nice and comfortable way. So you have to do both.
You have to. Also, like if you don't do safety, then no one's gonna buy your stuff, right? Because
No, it's going to be a little bit of both. Yeah.
That's part of it.
Okay. So before we get into the long-term survival of OpenAI, let's talk about some of their latest products. And they have been busy. I mean, November 2022 was when they released ChatGPT. And since then, I mean, it's been a flood of products. First one, let's take Sora. Sora is an OpenAI text to video generative AI model unveiled a few months ago. It allows users to create short video clips from textual descriptions. The model represents a significant advancement in AI-driven video creation. I've only seen a few clips, but it's been mind-blowing, honestly. I mean, they're short clips, but they have been amazing. They just look like reality. What do you think, Hassan?
I mean, Sora was pretty crazy when it came out. When this came out, we all thought it was a giant thing, and it was because no one else was doing it. But since Sora came out, like they haven't talked about it much. They haven't released much. If you remember, it was like this huge.
You can't use it. Nobody can test it.
And no one can use it. And then there's this company, for example, lately, I think it's called Luma. I could be wrong.
Yeah, there's one called Runway. The Runway are quite big.
Runway are insane. Runway produce beautiful things. The thing that Luma was doing was they were turning memes into real life, and anyone can do it. And it's released and it's open, and it's really mind-blowing stuff. Same quality as Sora, actually. Again, like you mentioned, there's Runway. What I'm worried about here is OpenAI releases cool stuff. I don't want them to have the the Google syndrome of, hey, look at all this cool stuff we're doing. It's going to be available a year from now. And then either they never release it, or by the time they release it, it's already old news. Yeah. So in this way, release things, move fast to break things.
Yeah, I would say I agree with you in this instance, but generally they've been really good at saying release now and go, and then it's like even more impressive when you actually test it. But this sort of thing looks amazing, what we've seen, but we don't know how good it is yet. So we'll see on that. The second product I want to touch on here is the new ChatGPT 4o. That's O and the letter O, not a zero. The O of ChatGPT 4o stands for Omni, indicating that this version of ChatGPT is designed for an all-purpose AI. So Omni, and we've tested this on the show. We did chat with it here live, and it is incredibly impressive. What do you say? Why is this special?
It's very special because it is multimodal, right? So it can understand everything the way it is. And we talked a lot about this. We should link the episode here or here, whatever it is. But we talked extensively about it, what it does. And again, it's multimodal.
So explain multimodal, just to be, let's do that first.
Sure. So multimodal, basically most models like ChatGPT 4 or 3.5 or 3, they're text models, right? So that means you speak with them, and what it does is it figures, according to a bunch of input text, it figures out what the output text should be. And in some cases where we wanted to work with it with images, we wouldn't be able to input an image into it. We would input an image, but what we would do is we would kind of describe the image using another model, and then put the description of this image and put that in the context. And so it was everything.
You have to code your way out of it almost, right?
Yeah, you have to code your way out of it. This model just, it knows how to look at things. So you can say, what am I looking at, and attach a picture, and it's going to be able to understand the images. It's going to be able to understand audio, and it's going to be able to understand text, right? So it's basically a robot/human. So it's senses, really, if you want to think about it. Imagine someone that can only read and write versus someone that can see and hear. That's
understand.
Really what it is.
Yes, totally. I mean, an example I used it for, which was funny and a little compelling too, is sometimes like a parking sign. When can I park here? Especially in the US, it's bloody complicated. So I've taken a picture of that and just can I park now, or when can I park here? And it gets that, right? And that's more than really, it's understanding context and all those things. That was super. It's just an example, but it's super impressive.
That's actually such a great example, right? historically, you would have to go transcribe what's on the sign and send it. There's a sign that says da, 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 right? And then it would kind of do it. You would hack your way around it. But no, it can actually see the sign and
Yeah.
read it by looking at the pixels in the image, which is different.
Yeah.
Right. So it's seeing,
And
basically.
sort of we'll be careful using the word understands, but it feels like it understands, right?
It feels like it. It can make a very solid prediction on what to say next, based on the pixels it's seeing and the shapes it's seeing.
Yeah, this also meant something else on the output front, which means that when you ask, not like doing text and stuff, like make a sign or something, the text that came out were like barely letters. They looked like letters, but they were not letters, and they were definitely not in the right order. And this model is different, right?
Exactly. Because again, these shapes that we call letters actually mean something to the model now. They're not just some painting, right? So pretty big difference. They also had like a bunch of cool things. Like again, we talked about at the time how they solved for audio. Supposedly,
and just the speed, right? Too. Yeah.
The speed, how you can interrupt it, etc. So some things have come to light since then. To be fair, so for example. So this audio thing has not been released in its actual form. Like you can still talk back and forth. But one thing I was wrong about at the time, I thought that was released, but you can't actually interrupt it just yet. That's coming in the fall.
You have to push a button.
Yeah. So they were supposed to release it actually like this week or something, and they said we need another month. The other thing that I found out is that they're not doing any of the voice stuff. So they have all of that kind of outsourced to some company that's been amazing at doing like real-time audio. Kudos to that company. Again, even with OpenAI, you can build something that's really, really good and sell it to them. So
let me tell you what I did with this 4.0 recently. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with the podcast after the summer, change it up a little bit. So I had a lot of sort of ideas, and I was going to sit down and put that in a 1 or 2 page document. That this is what I want to change, this is how I want to do it, and so on and so forth. So instead of doing my usual Google Docs and just sitting down, which takes a while, the structure and so on, I opened a chat with with 4.0 and started talking. I said, hey, look, this is what I'm doing. I'm trying to build a document structured like this, boom. And then I went through all of these things. And when I'm done, there was a 13-minute conversation with 4.0. I have a 1-page document. And obviously, I have to tune it a little bit, but so much of the work. This could have taken me an hour or 2 hours just to structure and get right. I did it in a 13-minute because I had all the ideas in my head. I mean, I was blown away by that, I must say.
Yeah. I'm also I've been using 4.0 extensively.
I will say though, the 4.0 also can turn into document, because I was done with my chat. I said, hey, where's my document? And then it just said, here's your document. And I got a document file, so you can do that.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna move on with OpenAI, because there's a key thing here when you pick a battle with the big tech giants of the world. Sometimes you make a great product, but you still lose. So I think there's always a risk that OpenAI might make the best product, but beaten by other tech giants, especially Google, as they have better distribution. Meaning Google already has millions of users they can reach with their AI. They would win the battle because they had better distribution, not better product. And I think all that changed when OpenAI did a deal with Apple, where the word is that the future of Siri on the iPhone will be based on OpenAI technology. That was a huge deal a couple of weeks ago, right?
It is. It's a massive deal. But it's also, I think we have to wait and see what this actually ends up being, right? Because a lot of people didn't give Apple credit in their event. Like a lot of the models that Apple are using for doing all this, Apple Intelligence, brilliant name by the way, AI.
Yes.
So a lot of their Apple Intelligence stuff is actually using Apple models that are local on the iPhone, which is crazy.
Okay.
So there's no like cloud being used.
Wow,
but then
a lot of power.
OpenAI comes in which that same model that Apple built can figure out like, I'm not good enough for this. I'm going to use ChatGPT, basically, right? And it will ask you before it does that. So I don't know how that's going to end up being as a flow. Is it going to happen, 10% of the time? Is it going to happen 100% of the time?
Maybe a little bit concerning for OpenAI, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things, like, right? Like when you do a corporate agreement with a company and you're like, oh, I just sold a B2B thing, and you go and you raise money off of it.
Yeah.
And then you look at the numbers and it's like, oh yeah, like there's 2 people in this 1,000 person organization that's using your thing. You don't want that as OpenAI. So
No.
yeah.
So it's not as integrated as we thought. That's what you're saying. We thought this could be. We thought maybe Apple would say, "Look, we're more a hardware company. We don't do search. We let Google do that. We will let OpenAI do AI." But that's not really what's happening then.
No, yeah. I remember like you and I were texting when this was coming out, and we both thought this, right? So, but apparently no, it's not. It's just like a little should I ask OpenAI kind of thing happening in the not just in the background, in the foreground. When it wants to use OpenAI, you have to like every single time press approve.
Yeah, okay. So I would say this is not this is not the exact distribution they want, right?
What I like about this from an OpenAI thing is that they are completely screwing over Google. Like, because Google was supposed to come in with Gemini, integrate with Siri. So instead, like, it's going to be OpenAI now. So it's more like a take something away from your competition, but I'm not sure how much it's going to help them. So in that sense,
exactly.
It's a win.
Because they need to make money. Like, this is, I think, the last thing I want to talk about on that specifically is they need to get a business model soon. I mean, yes, I pay them whatever, $20 a month. And a lot of people do that. I don't think they consider that their long-term business model. What do you say?
I agree. I think, I mean, they're really trying to be the AI API, right? So that companies can use it. And it's a good business model if you can build something that's really, really good, especially because you can focus on that. Like, I kind of agree with like you needed to do the whole ChatGPT thing so people understand the power of what you're building. But now that people do understand the power of what you're building, I'm not sure how much deep you have to go into building a kind of amazing ChatGPT product versus being, again, the company that people go to and buy AI, specifically startups, right? So
But these guys are, still burning a lot of money. They got all the attention in the world, but there's I don't think we know that for sure, but I would assume they burn literally billions every single year, right?
That's the I would say beauty of Apple, right? Like they might have a technology like AI, but in the end, it's part of this full-on beautiful product that you hold in your hand and you use, and in the end, they can totally get away with burning a little bit so that someone can buy the iPhone, and then they have so much margin there to mess around with, right?
So some fun,
yeah.
Okay, so any final comments on OpenAI? I think we've covered them really well. We started in 2015 with the founding and funding, and here we are. Any final comments on OpenAI?
Good luck. I don't know. That's.
But are they going to make it? Are they here 10 years from now?
Are they here 10 years from now? No, but I don't think any other company is here 10 years from now. I think.
Oh my God, such an optimist.
Well, in a good way. In a good way. I think we will reach some kind of general super intelligence and that's the only thing we need. We need nothing else.
Impressive. Yeah. I
think it'll be right. I think it'll be the United Nations or something.
Okay, then you're an optimist that that's going to happen 10 years, but I agree there could something like that could happen. So really big words from Hassan here in the end. You should really write a book soon. Cool. So okay, so before we end here, we have a couple of things we need to get through, at least one thing. So what are you obsessed by right now?
I mean, these days I'm obsessed by building essentially AI clones. Really. So I'm trying to build these like AI clones that look and feel and sound and talk just like someone. And it may have something to do with this university thing I talked about in the beginning, but
that's exciting.
I won't give away much.
No, you won't. But when is this being released soon so somebody can see it? I'm sure we're going to talk about it, but is this
our
least
goal,
a close thing that we can see?
Exactly. Our goal right now is to release in July. I am actively funding though, because I'm trying to do this thing where you raise some money and then you can just like focus on what you're building and not worry about the money, because I messed that up before. I raised too little and then I'm sitting there. I get to work on the product for a couple of months and then I spend 6 months raising money again. So I'm trying to avoid that. Yeah. So that's where I'm at right now. Yeah.
Cool. Best of luck, and I'm sure all our listeners think the same. So on my side here, I was thinking about
how about you?
Yeah, yeah. I'm obsessed by many things. I always am. But I had this meeting today, which I've told our listeners before. We're building a distillery, a whiskey distillery up in the Faroe Islands, Fair Isles Distillery, and the whiskey is not going to be ready till early as 2026. So that's good. But till then, we're actually making what we call white spirits, like vodka and gin and so on. Today, I had like the third meeting because we've decided that the vodka, which has a really unique story, I'm sure we'll tell that later. But we decided the vodka, we're going to make a dedicated bottle for that, like an own designed bottle for that. And working with, I mean, I always like go build something, right? But building something with people that know their really know their shit in building a glass bottle, for me, that's been just such an amazing experience. And seeing that, hey, you want to go in this direction, that direction, and now we're getting to a point where it looks we're very close to having a bottle. I mean, that's amazing. I love that kind of shit.
Wow, that's fast. As this, I assume this is not just like the what do you call it? Not the cover. I don't know, like the paper on the
No, it's just a
outside.
label. No, this is
Like
so you
the
can
actual
do.
glass itself, right?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
If you build something like this, you get a standard bottle, and that's fine. You can do a great label. But if you're really ambitious, like we are, you go and build your own bottle, design it with someone who knows what they're doing, and then it's just like, okay, this is next level, and this is got to be next level.
I love that. Yeah, exactly. I love exactly things where you just see something on this. Like right now, I'm looking at a stop sign on the street, and I'm sure someone is really good at freaking building stop signs that you would
Exactly.
never like think about it, right? So that's awesome.
Yeah, and working with people that really know what they're doing in that field. Obviously, we can say, oh, this direction, that direction, but they know their shit. It's really quite amazing.
I was mentioning to my dad yesterday that I was at this carpenter in Tyre in Lebanon, and he builds like Phoenician ships, and he does it. He builds these like super complicated wood stuff, and he's doing it by hand, and it's like perfect.
Wow.
And something you might think needs like a laser printer to get perfect, and I'm just looking at this guy building a ship by hand, and I'm just like, okay, that's.
He has a lot of time though.
Oh yeah.
Okay, we've come to the end. Please make sure you follow and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, and please leave a review and rating. It really helps. For all of you on YouTube, please make sure you check out Raw Startup. There's a lot of videos about building a great startup. This has been Founders Weekly. Now stop listening, go build something.